What was your first job? My first job was actually an acting job when I was 10 years old. And it was summer holiday with Darren Day. And I got the job for the part of the Italian bridesmaid. I think it was Italian bridesmaid #2. And in order to get the job, I had to go to an open audition and sing Happy Birthday to myself. But it ended up being the most amazing summer. And I always remember, like, everyone else had to do gym class on a Wednesday afternoon, and I got to be like, bye guys, and like go to like the theatre for the day. So that I remember like quite like strongly in my memory as like, this is a cool job. Cliff Richard came to the premiere with Anthea Turner. It was a big deal. How did you decide which career to pursue? My brother always says this to me. He's like, I'm really jealous that you knew what you wanted to do when you were so young, because then you could actually just go about kind of trying to implement it. And I did. I knew when I was young, that's what I would really like to do. But going about how to do it professionally was the journey. Was there ever a time where you thought about giving up or changing career paths? Yes, many times. And still, like I think I've got to that kind of phase now where there was very much like a singular focus in my early 20s, and which I think was necessary. And then suddenly you get to a point where you're like, oh, I wonder, if I was to, be. I remember when I was really young wanting to be an archaeologist for like a little bit. I think that's when we studied Egyptians. But the really amazing thing about being an actor is that you get to temporarily like live these other lives for like these pockets of time. So you get to live like 1,000 lifetimes all at once. What was the moment when you thought, I've made it? The first thought, maybe when my friend sent me I think I was in like a crossword puzzle, and I was like, wow, I think it might have been in the Times or something like that. Actually, a very, very special day, which was like, one of those days which actually wasn't for me, but I took my granny to Wimbledon, which was like her dream. She's been obsessed with Wimbledon her entire life, and there was an amazing moment, and I got to take her in the royal box, and that was a moment where I was like, because I could see like the joy that it brought to her. That was like one of those kind of really special kind of career moments. I don't really think you ever properly have I've made it, because the whole career is such kind of snakes and ladders, and it's more about the experiences that you have. And what I love about the job is that you meet incredible people and share these experiences. So each job is a little bit like running away to a circus, and you have those real kind of pinch me moments all the time, whether it's like the location that you go to or a person that you meet or an experiences that you have. I don't think you ever feel like I've made it, because you do one job and then you always, always, always feel like you're back to the drawing board. And each job you begin, I find it's very much that feeling of that September feeling of like with your new pencil case back at school, and you never ever lose that, and never, nor would I want to either, I don't think. So you have little highlights, but I don't think the I've made it ever quite comes. How has your confidence grown throughout your career? And do you have any tips for boosting confidence? My confidence has really grown throughout my career, but I think that's more I think one thing that people don't really talk about very much is just the nature of sets and like advocating for yourself on set and in an environment. And I think especially when I was really, really young, I think it was very hard to arrive feeling like you had a voice, or that your voice was just as valid and equal as everybody else's, which I have to say, the job that I've been working on, the Jetty, it's been really amazing, because I'm looking at, we had so many girls in who were in like, kind of their late teens, their early 20s, and I found it so like incredible how calm they were, how present as well that they felt, and in a way that I don't think I was at all at that age. And I think that for me was a real journey. And there was a job that I was working on, and I always remember there's an incredible actress called Lindsay Marshall, and she on one of my first jobs, she just said to me really simply, it was a really simple phase of claim your space. Just claim your space. And it's like within a scene, we're all kind of partners and equals, and and I think when you have that kind of environment, that brings the best creative space. I just always remember I wrote that down. I was like, claim your space. It's just so simple. What does success look like to you? I would say what's successful is when you come home from a day of work and you feel like you gave it your best. I think as simple as that. I think if you can come home satisfied, feeling like you went to work, and I think, you know, you get that feeling of feeling like creatively satisfied, and that's success. Do you have any advice for coping with rejection? My advice for coping with rejection is, it's not personal. I think that, especially as an actor, I think, because that is very hard, because you're arriving hoping to be seen as a character, but I think it's such a part of such a bigger picture, and I think as long as you can remove yourself from that. And also, you know, the simple phrase, you know, one door closes, another one opens, I think that is so, so true. And all of those kind of parts or stories that you were like, that your heart was like really, really wanted to tell, it's like, okay, well that didn't happen, but then I went there and that happened. And actually without that, I would never have met that person, and that part of my life would never have begun. So yeah, I think it's like attachment and unattachment and letting go. What motivates you? What motivates me is curiosity. I kind of like observation, studying, psychology, like trying to, I think it's kind of limitless, like the amount of stories and people and characters that are living and stories to be told. It kind of, you never kind of reach the end. And also different people that you want to work with. I find that's like really, really motivating. Your life is all like capturing different experiences. And that feels like the richest part, I think. What's the biggest obstacle or setback you've ever had to face in your career, and how did you overcome it? I think what I realized is I spent a lot of my 20s at war with myself, which I think about that now and makes me feel really sad, because I think the best thing that you can ever do is, I think so much in the world is like making you look inward all of the time, whether that is social media or the way that you look and what you're doing, how you do measure success. And actually the most interesting thing is when you don't look inwards and you look outwards. And if you think of all that time that you spend tearing yourself apart or being cruel to yourself or being your biggest self-critic, when actually you could spend that time looking outward and looking at other things. And I think if there's anything that I would ever say to my 20-year-old self, it would be that, probably. Thank you for watching. This is how